run through of our slides, just break it down for those of you who may be newer to KEYS about what KEYS is. And then we'll be going through some of the handouts that we provided and then answering any questions that you may have. And they may be questions that will be better answered by people in the audience, or if not, then Marty and I are happy to take it and take the lead on any answering. Most of you look like
So
you're probably
let's
from
start.
Meter Labs.
This is Heather Ingram. She is the Bio5 co-director of the KEYS program, and I'm Marty Lindsay. I'm the College of Pharmacy co-director for the KEYS program, which is in its 7th year. And up to date, we've had 140 kids. This summer, we have 48. So if we seem a bit nervous, that's why.
Also because they're videotaping us, and we don't like that.
So Heather's going to take you through the slides, and then we'll be open for questions kind of after we finish all of our formal presentation.
And we will have this video online, so if there's someone in your lab who wanted to be here, who couldn't be here for whatever reason, or if you're talking with another graduate student who's also taken a KEYS student, they weren't able to make it, they have questions, you can refer them to the website and they can watch this themselves, or you can answer questions to the best of your knowledge. So as Marty said, we're in the 7th year of our program. Last year we had 36 students, the year before that 24, so over the last 2 years we've doubled. So we're happy to report that we do have a lot of new people taking on students this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program, if you can turn the slide. So over our website and any contact information like emails that we provided, our information is available. We're both the co-directors. I'm through Bio5 Institute, Marty's through the College of Pharmacy. We work on a lot of the aspects of the program together, but there are some things that we'll specialize in. So if it's a particular question, Marty may field it or refer you to me, vice versa. So there are many aspects to KEYS, and we'll talk over them in a little bit more detail, but the important thing to know is that we like to attract diverse students from across the state of Arizona. A majority of them are still located here in Tucson. We have 14 in the dorms this year, but our out-of-town component continues to grow with the program. So 14's our highest that we've had. Last year we had 10, and before that we had 8 students. Before 2010, it was all Tucson local kids. They're from a diverse backgrounds. We have first-generation college-bound. We have people from rural locations. We really try to have a nice mixed class. We also have the students who are here in Tucson going to Catalina Foothills, University High. It's a really nice mix. We try to get them together because we feel like they can learn from each other. So the program's free to them. We cover the costs for 3 credits through the through MCB, through the Outreach College, and they don't take any extra costs off the top. So it keeps the program lean and mean for us. They have a 1-week intensive training that we offer. Half of the day they spend with Marty and myself in the Keating building. We talk to them about how to communicate about science, how to write about science, how to read research, how to just have the basic skills they need to succeed as scientists. They also receive presentations from people across campus, from different departments, just educating them on different types of research and different types of programs here at the U of A. They also spend half the day with Dr. Najee Anderson from the Biotech Project, and they work on basic laboratory techniques such as PCR, gel electrophoresis, pipetting, and we get them up to speed on some basic skills that they need to be in a lab. Now, not everybody is taking a student and putting them straight into a laboratory where they might need those skills, but it's really good for teaching them how to think through projects, teaching them about diligence, failure, and just how to get used to a research setting. So even if that's not directly applicable to the research, it helps them come in prepared with the right mindset to do research. After that, they come in, I should back up a little bit. On the second day of the program, we have a Meet the Mentors lunch that we hope that you'll be able to make. For some of them, it'll be the first time that they'll be able to meet you face to face. For some of you, you may have interviewed them, but it's nice for them to meet another lab mentor, like the direct lab mentor or the PI. Sometimes the PI is their direct mentor, sometimes that's a graduate student. It gives them an opportunity to meet with you in a more informal setting and get to know you a little bit better. We provide lunch, and it's about an hour long, and if you have time to take them to the lab if they haven't had a chance to see it, or where you conduct your research, that's a really great way for them to be a little bit more mentally prepared before the first day, to know what's going to happen and what to expect. We also make sure that by the time they go into your lab, any training that you've requested, so if you need laser training, if they need animal handling, bloodborne, any type of training that they need, we try to make sure that they do ahead of time so that they come prepared. And they'll also be coming with their CAT card, and they'll be official U of A students. So, you know, they'll be a little bit more prepared to be useful in that way. I know in some cases they may need their CAT card as a key to get in and out of the lab, and in that case they'll be set for that too. After that, on that first Monday, after that week, they start in your lab and they work up to 40 hours a week. We do steal them away for our Science Wednesdays, so you know it's probably going to be more like 30 or 35 depending on what your lab is like. And then they come back to us each week, but we'll talk about that in more detail later. So usually these students are working on some component of your research, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what that might be. But it's an opportunity to give them a little bit of a taste of, you know, what it would be like to be in the lab. So oftentimes they'll follow a graduate student to help them with their projects or replicate their projects. And we can talk a little bit more later about different types of things if you're still struggling about what they would need to do to be prepared and what you would need to have ready for them when they get here. We have a showcase on July 19th. We're going to have it in 2 stages. You should be receiving a save the date in the next day or so. It's on my computer, almost finished being designed. And the first part will be a poster showcase or a poster session in the Keating building, where they put together a poster based off of the project that they've helped with. And it will be, you know, and you'll have to work out the details of it. It's not purely 100% theirs, but you know, it's based off of the work that they've done, and we try to be very sensitive to crediting those people who might have been doing the majority of the work, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. But it gives them a chance to create abstracts, to gather data that they can make into graphs, to figure out what types of images that they need to have included, putting them all together, designing a poster, and learning about that process. And the weekly assignments that we have them do get them towards that goal of having a completed poster at the end of the 7 weeks. So the poster showcase will be from 9 to 10:30 at Keating, and then we'll have a walk over to Duval, where there'll be some presentations by past Keys alumni, and we have a welcome by Regent Myers. And then the students receive a certificate of completion. So if you can be there, that'd be wonderful. We like to have at least some presence at the poster session, because for some of them, although we're teaching them how to present on research, they're still relatively new in the lab, so it's helpful to have somebody with some knowledge who can answer follow-up questions if they get stuck. So we have different types of students who are attracted to Keys. We have the student who wants to win 4 Nobel Prizes by the time they're 30. They're very smart, they're very confident, and they may be a little overconfident about their abilities or what science is, and so this is a great opportunity for them before they get into school and get through a lot of it to really get a real concept of what research is like, that it's not success, 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 that there's a lot of failure, there's a lot of frustration, that it's about teamwork. You know, all the basics that you start learning when you work in a lab, they get a little taste before they even come into college. So it's a really great opportunity for them to see if this is an environment that they can thrive in. And so we serve as a support mechanism. So, you know, when those kids that are maybe a little overconfident realize they may feel a little in over their heads, we're here for them to fall back on. Of course, you'll be supporting them as well, but it gives students an opportunity to feel supported as they go through this. A lot of students who are attracted to science come in and they fall through the cracks because they feel like they can't succeed. So Keys helps bolster that, and we hope that you'll help us with that too. Others are, they don't realize how smart they are. You know, they're getting these glowing recommendations from counselors. They're really top of their class, but they don't have the confidence in themselves yet. So giving them that early helps them come into college knowing that they can succeed in a college environment. And, you know, getting an A or a B in a college class is a great way to start doing that. We have been increasing our statewide recruitment, trying to get students from all over the state of Arizona who are really excited about science and want an opportunity like this. We've been going across campus and giving presentations to departments and colleges. So if that's something that you're interested in having us do, we didn't come and visit you last year to talk about Keys, we're happy to do that. If you want us to pull more of your friends into the program. And we continue to increase our community support and, you know, connect people in the community interested in science with the program and with the U of A.
Can I interject?
Sure.
So last year we had 30 faculty for 36 students. This year we have 45 faculty for 48 students. We are really appreciative of the faculty time and the graduate student and postdoc time that this takes. This is not, it's a program of, I think, love and of science and love of learning as much as anything, because it really takes all of us to make this program successful.
And we continue to make the program better every year. We do pass out certificates to graduate students, thanking them for their support, to PIs. Something that you can keep with you is documentation of a mentorship experience. If you have ideas for us about how we can make it better for you from either a researcher experience or from a graduate student experience or a lab manager experience, we're always open to hearing ideas, and we try to incorporate them as best as we can with the program. We do have some important dates coming up, and Marty, did you want to go through those, or do you want me to? Okay, go ahead.
So there's 2 handouts. If you came late, please sign in so we know who came. You can't tell the players without a sign-in sheet, apparently. But we always need that because we're always collecting data, and we're about to do some publications on why we think this works. So please do sign in and pick up handouts. You can take extras back to your lab. We have plenty here, and we're happy to have you take them, because some of what I'm going to talk about now is more or less the backbone of the program. So you can see we've already accomplished many of our dates. We managed to place our last student. We had several this year. It was unusual. We had 6 or 7 who dropped out along the way for a variety of reasons, and so we were placing students until last week instead of mid-April. Now, they've been reading a whole book of biotechnology readings in preparation for the biotechnology training next week. They will get a quiz on that, and they'll get a quiz at the end as well, so that we have a very strong intention that they will come into your lab at least somewhat prepared that you don't have to teach them to pipette. You don't have to teach them what PCR is, what electrophoresis is. In fact, their biotechnology training this summer, they each will bring an insect with them to the initial day and take DNA from that insect, and we'll be doing some work towards identifying the insects and making a, the word just went out of my brain, morphological tree?
Phylogenetic?
Anyhow, they're going to, see, Heather and I are not bench scientists. I'm a information scientist, and so I get kind of confused sometimes. But I do know how to take the kids through this process. So we're doing our mentor meeting today, and Thursday night the family comes. We try to make sure that these kids are very mature, and so we don't talk to families until family night. If a family keeps calling me, I tell them I have to talk to your son or daughter. And I usually am the point of contact. Training week will start next week with the Meet the Mentors Luncheon, as Heather said. And if you will turn to this more...
That's actually Tuesday, so you know.
Oh,
Tuesday.
they changed it. No, we got the right date, just the wrong day of the week. So if you will look at this handout, this has been vetted several times, so I think it's right. We used to do Science Wednesdays from late morning to the middle of the afternoon. With this many students and on the reflection of many people, we've moved it to just the afternoon. So they'll be in the lab on Wednesday mornings, and then they'll come and spend the rest of the day with us in Keating 103 for the most part, although sometimes we will be meeting here in Skaggs 325. The week of July 4th, they learn to build their posters. And so we divide the group into 4 groups of 12. And so some students will come actually on Tuesday and some will come on Wednesday. So you might want to circle that or identify it for yourself to ask them, which day are you supposed to go to Science Wednesday? Tuesday or Wednesday? We will have a meeting on Thursday right before the poster session to prep them for their Q&A especially. And we ask them to listen to each other's questions and make sure that they have lots of great answers. And I encourage you all to have them present the last week at your lab meeting and to ask them tough questions, because you know when they get in the poster session, they're going to get asked tough questions. So make sure that they can answer the things that are most especially important about their research. As Heather said, the showcase is on Friday the 19th, and we will end with a closing ceremony. If you want to know more about KEYS and the assignments, this is the URL. The second handout is the assignments, and you'll see that these assignments build over time towards sections of the poster. Initially, we want to make sure that they know who they're supposed to communicate with in your lab. Who is going to be their direct person they're directly responsible to, as well as the PI. Who they should tell if they're sick or they need to have to go to the doctor or need a day off. How to communicate that. How to get into the building. What kind of security do they need to have? All of those things we ask them to do in their first assignment. The second assignment, they start writing their introduction. So hopefully you're thinking about their assignment at this point and thinking about readings that you want them to take on, because they should be able to read anything you give them by the end of training week. And things that you want reflected in the introduction should be given to them as early on as possible, because as we all know, think back to when you started reading research in the beginning. Sometimes you had to read it 2 or 3 times to really get the content, right? And so we want to give them everything that they should read as soon as you think about it. That may mean the July 4th weekend that you want them to read something. That's okay. This is an academic experience as well as an internship. Then we move through the assignments that include materials and methods section. So, and we asked them really that should be a bulleted pointed. But if there's something peculiar or specific to your research that you want them to be able to explain, that's their time to really be able to shine about that. Project 5, you see there's two options. Sometimes there's no results. We've had people waiting to the last week to have any kind of results, as you well know. So there's two options for that assignment, whether you have results or not. Assignment 6 is to come up with their poster title and their abstract and who all should be in the title section, including every graduate student who had an impact, postdocs, faculty, whomever should be on that list with the actual title. And they will get a notebook that has a large section about how to create their poster and what the poster requirements are. But some of those are here right on this assignment. And finally, they practice their presentation so that they can do the elevator speech, they can do a 2-minute presentation, and that they can answer questions. So this forms the backbone for getting them from the initial day to the poster session successfully. And we want to make sure that you know about the assignments, but don't do them for them. Let them do them themselves. Give them critique. Give them edits. But let them do it themselves. Because you remember your first day when you had to do these kinds of things, and it isn't a service to anybody to do it for them. It's a service to give them edits and notes. So we have a few, Nadia Anderson, please stand up. Dr. Anderson is the one who teaches them biotechnology, and you may have some questions for her as well as either for Heather or I. And we also have Brooke. Brooke is the chief RA and the head Keys crew. We have, I keep forgetting how many because we have a variety of sources of payment, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 kids who are Keys alumni who come back and are there to see the kids in the lab, to help them through that. Before they even give it to you, the assignment to you to edit, they should be editing. So please, questions and comments.
Before they start the questions,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention this year is a little bit different for those of you who may have had a student in the past, and for those of you who are new, this is going to be the usual. But we have a poster checklist that the student will be asked to complete. So looking for certain things, like if you need to have some sort of icon or logo for your lab included on the poster, to make sure they're crediting images, the people responsible for the research, just things that they need to go through and have included. And then we're going to have it checked off by the lab before we print. So that will be one of the very last things that happens before it goes off to be printed out. So we do the training. We have the students learn the program to create the poster. This year it can be created in Pages, or I think it can be created in InDesign. We do have loaner laptops that we hope to be made available for labs who don't have InDesign programs, but maybe you need to see a visual on the computer and help them make an edit or import something. We're here as a support to you to help make sure that that comes to completion, and then we'll be taking care of the printing as well. But we want to make sure it's also up to what comes out of your lab, and that the data on there is something that you feel is correct and that you feel comfortable having out there for the world to see. Okay, any questions that you may have?
How many of you have taken a Keys intern in the past?
Oh, we got just the experienced corner over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, questions, comments, wonders?
I have a question. How many engineering-related students do you have? Students that are not just interested in biology, that have physics or engineering-related fields?
It's about a third of the students, I think, have a strong interest in bioengineering or other kinds of engineering. We have a couple who are particularly interested in biocomputing, some who are more geared towards plants, some more towards animals. It's a very diverse group of interests.
And more than ever, we've had students who have completed like some sort of statistics at their school. A lot of the students coming from Maricopa County, that seems to be a very typical class that they're encouraged to take. And we have more than ever of students who've completed a physics course. And we do try to identify in the interview if they have an interest in physics, and we really try to pull that out of them. And we also ask them about their clubs, because sometimes their schools may not offer courses in something, but they can be in a robotics club. So that tells us that they have an interest and have some experience in it.
There's about 3 who are interested in robotics and another 10 who are, I would say, more engineering focused than chemistry.
The reason I'm asking is also how much time the students have before they start to actually do some homework before they come to the labs. And if it's just a week that the students usually have from end of high school to start here, then we cannot ask them to do a lot of preparation. Like the training is definitely the mandatory dashboard training, and these things are not sure whether they can even start before they're here. But there are other things, specifically engineering students, they could do. Right? They might not be able to be taught in Nadia's class, so they might be a part of that week too, so we can think about, we have more of the training components.
Most of the kids are out of school now, and so you should be able to give them things to read and or do between now and next Monday.
So for example, for engineering-oriented students, they should know a programming language and they should know SolidWorks. Somewhere along their path when they go to college. Early they learn it together. Programming language takes several weeks to learn. SolidWorks is something they can play with if they have access to a computer. They can try, they can see whether this is available.
If you send us that information that you would like for those students to do, then
it's not mandatory, but it's something that I like to read. If you have that many students that are actually interested in engineering-related fields, then we might need to think about incorporating some of the traditional engineering tools that they might need to use, because later in their life they will have to use these also.
I think that's a great idea. We incorporated biosafety into the training week this year.
Yeah.
We're always looking for suggestions. When I walk out of here, there's a little gray under this blonde and I might forget. So if you would send me the information, between us we'll manage to get it out at least to those students this year. And then incorporate it maybe more broadly next year. Because we start giving them homework in April, and so there's no reason why if we have a tutorial or something that they can do over time, next year we could start them earlier on these engineering aspects.
Is there a programming language that you prefer or you think would be more beneficial for the students?
This is a lot of biology. I think it's something I would talk with Mira too, but I think right now a lot of Python type. The thing you use to take data from one program to the next program to the next program, not the hardcore type programming. That's what they use in the biotech, the computing area. That's something for that. This is a hard question. We should check with our specialists in Bio5 and what they would recommend to the students to do.
You said we have to be also versatile with
I think what would be useful engineering is a knowledge in SolidWorks. There's things the students would like to do. Many high schoolers learn this before they come to college.
Other questions?
Ted, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Yep.
What kind last year, I didn't know what to encourage my students to be getting involved in, like the other activities that aren't directly lab related. Whether it's going out to dinner with the other T students, or how can we encourage, help them know from the get-go, you should, be taking advantage of all these opportunities, because those don't come. I didn't know what was going on.
That's a really great question. There are different types of things happening. So for students, if you have a student that's out of town, we take them out sort of for a meeting, get, how's it going in your lab kind of experience where they can get away from the U of A campus and be in a more relaxed environment, so hopefully they'll open up to us or to the Keys crew. The students living in the dorms tend to do more social activities amongst themselves and invite students to it. And as we learn what they're going to do this year, we'll make sure to let you guys know as well. But last year they had Taco Tuesdays and they invited the other students to come to those. This year we're going to have each of our Keys crew design some sort of social activity that the students will go to. They don't have to, it's not mandatory, but it's a great way to bond and relax. They might be athletic activities like ultimate frisbee or a soccer game somewhere on the U of A mall. They might be a video game night in the Keating building. So we've done different things, movie nights. We try to make it free so the students who don't have resources don't feel like they're left out, or very low cost. I think they went bowling a couple times. But the relationship that they have in the lab can be very different too. I mean, in some cases, if you've got a high school student, you don't know, is it appropriate to invite them to something? Is it appropriate to take them out to dinner or, you know, do things like that? Because they are in the lab for a short time. You know, they are a lot younger. Some of them are under 18. So if there's ever anything that you have a question about, please feel free to contact Marty or I. If you say, we really want to invite this person to do this, do you think that that would be okay? We're happy to do that. We encourage you to create connections with the students in the lab. Sometimes it gets them out of their shell so that they can be more able to feel comfortable asking questions when something comes up. You know, we really do encourage them to ask questions and not get stalled, but you know, they're also high school students. No matter how smart they are, no matter how confident they are, they're still high school students. So.
But there's things every week, and their homework is assigned to be turned in on Tuesday morning. So Monday night's not a good time to take them out to dinner, but after that, there's lots of labs who've taken kids out to dinner or taken them to lunch or
Miniature golfing.
you know, whatever, yes.
Is there a Facebook or Twitter site that you guys have that students should have signed up and I should sign up to?
We do have a Keys Facebook page.
You send out notes on events there on a regular basis that I should?
I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, that's not really something that we've used in that way, but I think that's a really great way to share with anyone who'd
No,
like
it's
to
just a
stay
matter of
connected.
What I need to pay attention to.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no reason we can't do that. I mean, it's an active page and, you know, it just takes, we have Keys crew and we can just put one person on updating Facebook.
Brooke, notes, please.
They usually text each other, or how do they communicate with students?
The students, it's a combination, but texting is pretty popular, that they text with each other.
I would
We
say
send
most of
emails.
my communication with the kids is they text me, so they do a lot of texting with each other as well.
And of course, email.
Yeah, I didn't do those.
Don't have time,
I know.
I do.
I'll have to get your cell phone number so we can start texting back and forth. Any other
How about some of you guys? Yes.
They have access to D2L for something like.
They're already all in D2L right
Okay, so
now.
if I want to make sure they have like bloodborne pathogen training, should I just email them directly so that they can?
That would be fine,
Okay.
yeah. We've been trying to collect from each student and each faculty member, trying to pair up all those preparatory things, but I'm not convinced that we're 100% there. So if you have something that you want them to do, ask them to do it. But they're all in D2L. They've almost everybody's finished their chemical safety training by now. I don't know that we have everybody's final quizzes, but they're supposed to finish it this week. They're supposed to be ready to go on Thursday. But
And there are some classes that are in person, so the biosafety, we had enough requests that students take that we were able to schedule a separate class. And we're still gathering data for laser training. So if we have enough people, the laser training I don't think is until the 18th. But we did, for those who we know, we're trying to contact the students and see if they'll at least hold this space. So if we only have maybe 2 or 3 students that need that type of training, then they're already signed up for the class. It's not over full and they have to wait. But if that is something that they need, the sooner we know, the more we can work with people on the other side. They're usually pretty welcoming about setting up a class if we have enough people.
Yeah, they're as interested as you are in having the kids be safe in your lab. And we are definitely interested in that. Yes.
Yes, so they're local students, some of them are interested in staying after the KEYS program, period? Are we allowed to have them?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I mean, Brooke worked in Dr. Hedwin Brooks' lab for 2 years after her internship. We have students from last summer. We have maybe 4 or 5 students who are actively working in the same lab that they started last summer. They might work through the year or do a capstone project or sign up to come back for the second summer.
Yeah, once you've gotten trained, it's you want to kind of hold on to them if it works. Yeah, we have several students who have stayed for capstones and their senior project. So, because most of these kids our average age is 16 and a half or 17, and so they're mostly juniors, but we have a few graduating seniors and we have a few sophomores and when we take someone who's a sophomore, we interview everybody. All the students get interviewed in one of the probably most intimidating interviews you can be, because it's the 2 of us and Brooke and or some other KEYS crew member, and so they're answering all kinds of questions about their personal life, about their academic interests. We query them about their feelings about using animals in research. We really try to get at who is this person so that when we make the placement, we can make it confidently.
We also talk to them about halfway through the program. They're going to have a good grasp of the workings of your lab and how it runs and how they're fitting in. And we do encourage them, if they're interested, to talk to you about if they can continue on in some capacity. We encourage you to ask them, because they may feel intimidated to ask. They are interested. So we try to work on that from both ends. We did that last year, and I think we had an increase of students who made that connection with the researcher or the grad student before the end of the internship, because even though it's 7 weeks, that's the 7 weeks of KEYS, but they can continue on as long as you find it mutually beneficial. In some cases, they've completed the program, they've really had an enjoyable summer, but they may want to try some other type of research experience, and in some cases, we'll try to help them. In most cases, if they come to us and want that, we'll try to place them in another lab that would, meet those desires. So they've already received some training, and they're a little bit more qualified to go into a different lab at that point. So it's more likely, though, that they're going to want to continue with the research they've already started on. So. Okay. And we do try to very much closely tie their interests that they've expressed, and we give them a couple different opportunities to tell us what their interests are, so we can come to the best conclusion of what that really is, not what they think it is, but what it really is. And that's what we base off of placing them in the lab. So we hope that that means that, they really, if they aren't interested in epigenetics, I guess they'll know, right? If they go into a lab and do epigenetics, they'll know by the end if that's what they like or not. So, any other questions?
My office is in this building. Heather's in Bio 5 in the Keating building. Stop by if something comes up. Send us an email. Call us. Because our job is to select the kids, place the kids, and shepherd the kids through the process, and to be your go-to people if you have questions.
We also,
Yes.
oh, go ahead.
Well, luncheon next week, there's 2 rooms listed. Do we start in Keating 103 and then go to the other room, or are we divided?
Is that for the luncheon?
Yeah,
So everybody's going to check in the lobby,
okay.
and then depending on, so we have 48 students and faculty members and graduate students. Obviously, we're not going to be able to use 103 exclusively, but we'll fill that room first. It's on a kind of a first come, first serve, and then we'll move into MRB 102 and use that room as well. It can get really loud in there, and some people choose to have a more quiet setting where they can talk with the student, and that is fine. There's space outside in the nucleus, and MRB has space out in their lobby, And we've reserved both lobbies, so it's not going to be unexpected if it fills up with people. You're welcome to just take your food and take them straight to the lab. Of course, probably not bringing food into the lab, but you're welcome to do what you'd like, but we want to provide enough space if you'd like to stay there.
Nadia, did you have anything particular you wanted to say about what you're doing during training week?
Well, the only thing I really need to emphasize is on Tuesday, the day of the luncheon, I do need to have the kids that come to me in the afternoon be there on time. Because we have a deadline, we have a FedEx to send out. Since we're doing a DNA barcoding activity, we're going to actually have to mail the sequences. Believe it or not, it's actually cheaper to mail them somewhere else than sequencing here. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah. I know.
And
Well,
just,
it's just because it's educational, they don't get an education discount here, whereas you do get educational discounts elsewhere. So, that being said, if possible, get them out and at the time that, whatever the time is, I can't remember what the.
They have a full hour and and then we've allowed a half an hour travel time. So the idea is, be on time.
Right.
Be
As
on,
long as they get
come
there
early to get your food, because the food will be there for sure on time, and enjoy yourselves with them.
So you're saying
Also-
not longer than an hour with us. That's what we say.
Right,
Then they
just
come.
bear in mind that they do need to be somewhere in time and fashion, that's all.
they need to be there by 1:30. We've scheduled for an hour. So if you run 15 minutes over, and it only takes 15 minutes for the student to walk to Koffler, they'll be there on time.
Oh, that's another good thing to tell me.
Oh. We're backing
We
up.
just
we're moving
erased
back in
that.
time. And then just so you know, like we mentioned before, we do have Keys crew. They like to periodically visit the student in the lab just to make sure they're feeling comfortable. They can ask them questions. We come a couple times,
And we have a biotechnology teacher who is provided by the school district, and her name is Margaret Hardy, and she will definitely be seeing all the students in the lab to make sure that there isn't something she needs to help with.
We try to schedule that ahead. I know, I got it. We try to schedule that ahead, and so it's convenient time for you. It's not usually very long, 10, 15 minutes tops, that we need to pull them aside just to see how they're doing. And we may also be coming in, you see Caitlin over here, she's taking photos. We are very low on lab setting kinds of photos that we can use and communicate how wonderful Keys is. So we're making an effort to have Caitlin and someone from Biomedical Communications photography department to come in to a few labs to get some more photos. But if that's the case, we'll make sure to contact you ahead of time, make sure that's something that you're okay with, and that there isn't like research that you prefer not to have photographed, or you're doing surgeries, whatever. We, of course, don't want to inconvenience you. And then we may also we're funded by a variety of sources, both internal through the U of A and community sponsors. And for some students, we may offer that the person who's helping to sponsor them through the program, their named intern, that they may be able to get a tour. But we'll follow up with you ahead of time to make sure that that's something that's workable. And the student can do some of that, of course, but it'd be good for other people in the lab with more experience to help with that tour. But it's up to you. If you just want the student to stand next to you and you talk about the research happening in the lab, that's fine. If you want the student to take the initiative and be on the spot to talk about it, that's probably great practice for their research showcase. And again, that would be maybe 15, 20 minutes of your time, and we'll try to give you as much notice as possible.
To me, usually the student has been trained as a member of the lab. They can bring and show their work to anyone
Right.
we need to, but if they're not finished with their training, then they should not bring up.
That's
And
a
we
good
usually
point.
don't even consider it before maybe the 4th or 5th week, because they need to get up to speed and feel confident in the lab setting. Okay.
I
Well,
look
thank
forward
you.
to seeing you all at various events this summer.
Take care.